Hello everyone and welcome back my dear students to the offline video series of Biology of 7th Standard. So from this video onwards we are going to start with a new lesson and the name of the lesson is Classification of Plants, lesson number 2. So in this lesson we are going to study about classification of plants in nature. So before we start with this, I will tell you some of the points which we are going to study in this lesson. So in this lesson, first of all, we are going to study about what do you mean by classification, why classification is needed. Second topic we are going to study is what are the advantages of classification, means why classification should be done. Third, we are going to study about the first kingdom, Monera. After that, we are going to study about bacteria, the life process of bacteria, some of the harmful and useful bacteria in our day-to-day life. The next kingdom is Protista. In this, we are going to study about the life process of amoeba. We are going to study about the movement, locomotion, respiration, excretion and cell division of amoeba. The next type of kingdom which we are going to study is kingdom fungi. In this we are going to study about the basic structure, the life process and the cycle of life of fungi. The last type of kingdom which we are going to study is kingdom plantae. In this, we are going to study about the classification of various plants which we see in nature in our day-to-day life. So first of all, let us start with the introduction of this lesson. God has gifted us a very beautiful and mesmerizing nature. All the plants, animals, human beings, insects, microorganisms, fungi, bacteria are the part of this universe, of this nature. But if we think about studying all these plants, animals, human beings, insects, then it is impossible for us to study all of these together. So in order to study all these plants, animals and different part of nature and universe, biologists and scientists has divided them into different classes and groups based on their similarities and differences. For example, in a particular state, the ratio of death rate and birth rate are being maintained by government. The reason behind this is to study or to understand the number of people or population of that particular state. So same is the case with classification of plants and animal also. In order to study them properly, we need to classify them first and then to study few of the plants and animals from that particular division or class so that we can study about all the other remaining plants and animals of that particular class. So, here the need of classification is to study all these plants and animals systematically and in a better way. So here we are going to study about the need of classification. Mainly, living things are classified into two main categories. First category is of plants and second category is of animals. So when we talk about plants and animals, they are separated based on their similar features and characteristics. Dividing or differentiating these plants and animals based on their different features and characteristics helps us to study them in a systematic manner. So let us study about the definition of classification. The next topic which we are going to study is advantages of classification. Manually, it is not possible for us to study all the varieties and species of plants and animals on the earth's surface, because if we talk about only a small area, there are number of plants and animals and their varieties. So it is very difficult for us to study the plants and animals of only a small area. Then if we talk about all the plants and animals on the earth, it will be much more difficult. But scientists and biologists helped us and they introduced us with a proper systematic manner of classification based on the similar characteristics, so that we can study them systematically and we can understand each one of them individually. So here are the advantages of classification. So here are the advantages of classification. The first advantage is the characteristic of all the members of a group can be understood by studying only the characteristic of few members. That means you don't have to study all the members of a particular group in any kingdom. If you study very few of them with their characteristic, it will help you to understand all the other members of that particular group, since all of them have the same characteristic. Second classification advantage is classification makes the systematic study. It highlights the relationship between different organisms. Basically, classification helps us to make a systematic study of any living organism. It also makes us understand the relationship between two different organisms. The third advantage of classification is it helps in identifying different organisms and placing them into particular group. Once you study all the kingdoms and their groups, it will be easier for us to identify the organism based on its similarities, and we can place them easily into the particular group. That means we can understand easily that in which group this particular organism belongs. Last advantage of classification is it also gives us an idea about the evolution of organism from simpler to more complex forms. The meaning of word evolution is from where that particular organism has been originated. So it gives us an idea about from where and when the organism has been originated, and we can study that organism from simpler to more and more complex forms in detail. So let us start with the next topic, classification in living world. Originally, living things in living world were divided into two main kingdoms. Kingdom Plantae, which used to be consist of only plants, and Kingdom Animalia, which was only consist of animals. So in that times, fungi was kept under the Kingdom Plantae, but simultaneously it had some features of plants as well as animals. So it used to create a confusion that fungi consist the characteristic features of plants as well as animals. So where to keep it? But in ancient times, it was kept under the category of Kingdom Plantae. Same was the case with the protozoa also. Protozoa like Euglena has some of the characteristics of plants because it consists of chlorophyll pigments in them like plants, and it does not has cell wall unlike plants, but it has a eye-like structure like animals. So Euglena consists of both plants and animals characteristics. So in order to solve this problem, in year 1969, Robert Whittaker, a scientist, a biologist, therefore suggested that bacteria should not be classified under kingdom Plantae and protozoa should not be classified under kingdom Animalia. That is why he introduced a 5-kingdom system. Here is the flowchart which gives you some basic idea regarding the contribution of Robert Whittaker in year 1969. As I told you that he proposed the theory of 5-kingdom system. So here are the 5-kingdom system flowchart which gives you the idea about classification of plants and animals. Basically, an organism is classified as prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic consists of kingdom Monera, while eukaryotic is further classified into unicellular and multicellular organisms. Unicellular consists of only one cell, that is, their life starts from single cell. It consists of kingdom Protista. Multicellular organisms are further classified as the organisms whose cell are with cell wall, while the organisms whose cell do not have cell wall. So the organisms which have cell wall in them consist of phototropic and heterotropic. Phototropic consist of Plantae since they can perform the process of photosynthesis, and heterotropic consist of fungi, which is the 4th kingdom of classification. The examples for organisms whose cells do not have cell walls in them is kingdom Animalia. So here in this flowchart, there are total 5 kingdoms given on the screen which are highlighted in yellow color. So in our next video, we will study about 5-kingdom system. So for homework, you are going to revise the definition of classification and the advantages of classification.